Howdy folks, Kevin here. Sorry it's been a while since I've done something there on Whiskey Talk. I spent 2,807 miles on the road over the last couple of weeks. I think we're crooked. That look better. I need to get a level out. Anyhow, 2,807 mile trip. I did some road report trips, but to be honest with you, I didn't do a lot of filming while I was out, just little clips here and there and all that kind of stuff. And the last thing we did was Georgia Bushcraft, and I really didn't get a chance to film there a lot, just in our little area where we were working, because we were busier than heck, and I didn't really get out of our area very much. So, I apologize. Anyhow, I kind of wanted to talk about, when did we become a nation of basically turning the smallest jobs into a career? Now, there's a lot of things that fall onto this, but I'm talking about some local stuff going on right now. For the last long time, I won't say exactly how long because it's been way too long, but we have stretched a 6-month project into years. They're rebuilding the main drag, well, one of the main drags from one end of my town to the other. I say my town, but it's where my address is, but I live 7 miles out of town. But anyhow, for the last couple of years or more, they've been redoing the main drag. And it's not just the road. They're doing lighting and all kinds of stuff down through there. But still, we seem to be making a career out of it. And by the time they get done doing all of the stuff to temporary everything in, they're going to have to go back and redo everything because they did it so poorly that by the time they get done getting everything situated so everybody can get around and all that kind of stuff, which they don't really seem to care about. Anyhow, but by the time all that's done, they're going to have to redo the stuff because they did paving and lights and all that kind of stuff. And the paving is, they put a thin lift on, just to get people driving on one side so they can start working on the other side and do all that kind of thing. Well, I got bad news for you. We're getting into winter now. And so we're going to have freezing and thawing on that thin lift, which means all that stuff's going to heave and break up and do all kind of stuff. And by the time they get from one end of town, which is not very far, 4 miles, let me put this into context. They have been spending years on this 4-mile stretch. Okay? It's just been a poor thing. And, I'm not armchair quarterbacking. When I was, I've been on road building projects before. I understand what they're doing, but I don't understand is why they're doing it in the manner that takes the absolute most time for every step of the way. Now, it's not just this that I see going on. I see career construction projects everywhere. Career jobs everywhere. You got people talking on the internet about, well, it takes me this long to do this. If you spend 2 hours doing a 15-minute task, then the problem is you. Just get it done and get out of the way. I used to tell people when I worked at the phone company, because I got involved in some things every once in a while that didn't have anything to do with me, but it was one of those things where things would get rode until the end of the day, and then they would call in my department on stuff, and I would go, you've had this job since 10 o'clock this morning. Why are you just now getting me involved? Well, yeah, I know you need some overtime. That's exactly what's going on. But don't involve me. Call me at 10. Let's fix it at 10, and you can say we did it on overtime, or you can say you did it on overtime later. It's one of those. Don't involve me in making these things take so long. I used to tell people, get your jobs done quick, and then you got plenty of times to screw off later. Anyway, now to put all this into context, this major project Hey, this is supposed to be Cigar and Whiskey Talk, and I got talking about this, not the cigar. This is a series. This is an Oliva Serie V. In a minute, I'll explain why I'm so excited about this project suddenly. Now, over the couple of years or more that they've been goofing around with this thing, they have inconvenienced everyone in town because they're doing the main drag. But they're doing it in a manner that makes this stuff take a long time and inconvenience everyone. So if you're going to block an intersection and make it temporary so people can get in through there, don't take your construction equipment and park it in all the local businesses and route people through local businesses so they can drive, because those parking lots aren't part of your project. And instead of parking in your construction area, you park in all the local businesses so customers can't park in the local businesses. And are you going to go back and repave all these local businesses parking lots and all the driveways and stuff that you've disrupted? No, you're not. Now we're doing the second half of the lane, but we've only got the first lane temporary. We're back on track now, by the way. Instead of working inside your construction area, we have decided that, okay, we made a temporary lane that's narrower than a regular lane, and we've got our construction going over here. But what we're going to do is, instead of blocking off our construction area, we're going to take all the big barrels — they're not using cones, they're using barrels — and we're going to move those into the narrow lane that we built for you to drive, because we can't be inconvenienced working on our project. We can inconvenience all you guys though. And we're going to take half of that lane that's already a narrow lane to put our barrels in, so we can get around in our construction project that we're not going to work in anywhere. We're going to work in all the surrounding areas, on shoulders and in parking lots and all those kind of things. Now, the reason I've been annoyed by this project ever since it's been going on, because quite frankly, it's a career project for some company. I don't know who the company is. Because when they hired all these workers out, they say, well, we try to use local contractors when we can. For the last couple of years I've been driving up and down this strip, there aren't that very many local or even in the state license plates on all these construction vehicles. So apparently we didn't try that hard to find any state folks. Anyhow, now to put this in context, this has been going on for a couple of years. It's mostly 3 lanes, one directional lane one way, one directional lane the other way, and most of it's got a turn lane down the center. It's the main drag for most of the businesses in town, most of the larger businesses in town, and it's just been a zoo. It's hard to get around, and it's not just me, it's the thousands of folks who live in town who are having problems with this, and the thousands of people who come through town, going from one place to another. And it's been a pain in the butt. Now, I told you at the beginning of this thing, I just got off a 2,807 mile trip. And in the 15 or 16 days I was gone, there's another place that I drive a lot. And when I left, there's about a 4.5 mile stretch of a 2-lane road that was in fairly bad shape, and I had heard rumors that they were going to work on that thing. Well, I left on day one, and I drove that road going where I was heading out to, and nothing was going on. No construction equipment, nothing anywhere. Road in crappy shape, the whole 9 yards. Now, I came back after 16 days. That entire 4.5 miles, both lanes is done. So they did it in the 16 days I was gone. So one lane going one way, one lane going another way, 4.5 miles. They put a nice, I don't know. There's evidence that they probably stripped it, because there's a lot of new debris alongside the road where it looks like they ate the asphalt up. And it's got a nice thick lift of asphalt, both lanes, 4.5 miles. So they did 9 miles of road, or 4.5 miles of 2-lane, or 9 miles of 1-lane, whichever way you want to look at it. And they did it in the 16 days I was gone. It's completely done. All the construction equipment has been there and left in the 16 days I was gone. In context, 4.5 miles of 3-lane. Now, granted, we're adding electrical and street lights and all that other happy hoo-ha down through there. And in years, not even close to completion yet. I don't know why we do the stuff we do anymore. I'm sure this one is a government contract. I'm sure the contractors are going back on overruns and, well, we changed this, so we're gonna have to have another check from you. Oh, we did this. Oh, we ran into this problem. We're gonna have another check. Oh, we're going to do that. I'm sure that's what's been going on, but still, 4 miles or so over years versus 4.5 miles over 2 weeks. Let's call it 2 weeks. So we're being ridiculous, and I would like to say that this is the only thing I've noticed over the years that I've been tooling around. It's ridiculous. It's not just here. It's everywhere I go. There are places that I travel to hundreds of miles from here that the same construction has been going on roads and in parking lots and factory sites and all that kind of stuff for several years now. Several years. This is why we can't get nothing done. Oh, that's what we got going on. What do you got going on in your areas? This is a Oliva Series V, and I'm drinking Detroit City straight bourbon. And that has been a Cigar and Whiskey Talk. For today. And are y'all noticing this kind of stuff? Now, the younger you are, the less you're going to notice it, because things have become normal to take as much time as possible and cause as much interference as possible and take up as much space as possible. Because like I've said many times before, I read a story one time, and it was about somebody who was one of the characters in this story was a cursed individual, and they would cease to exist if people were not, if they weren't getting interaction from other people. In other words, they weren't being noticed. I think we've become a society that people are scared they're going to not exist anymore if they're not being noticed, and being noticed by interfering with everyone else's life. Lord, I really think we need to back off the clock about 50 years or so. I think the negatives will not outweigh the positives. Just so you know. Anyhow, see y'all in the woods.